Dear Thay, on your 95th continuation day, I'd like to offer a flower, a lotus from my heart, for my practice, for my path of service, from all the conditions that I've been able to come in contact with to have met you on this beautiful path. I wish you lots of good health, peace and happiness, and so many beautiful continuations on this day and many days to come. And I'm very touched, very happy, and very grateful to be one of your students. And I hope to be a beautiful continuation of you. Thank you, dear Thay.
So a warm welcome to us all here today. I'm so happy to have this opportunity to share together from our hearts with my dear friend Anh-Le, who will share a little about her path of practice and her experience in building happy schools in central Vietnam. So thank you so much for creating this space together today.
Thank you so much for having me. Enjoy being with you and feeling connected.
Yeah, for me too. Maybe we can begin with the calligraphy that's behind you. So I notice we both have variations of the Happy Teachers calligraphy. And I remember you sharing once that when you encountered the calligraphy, it was at a time where you were feeling some exhaustion. And you thought, well, how can I be happy? And how could me being happy change anything? So I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about the kind of the beginnings of your inspiration to do this work.
Thank you for the question. I love that we have two calligraphies, and one in the present moment and one in the future. But I'm going to share a little bit about the past. When I first came to Plum Village in 2012, it was my very first Plum Village retreat. And that was when I had my first burnout as a teacher. After working for 5 years in Singapore at a university here, I got very stressed and burnout, and I lost my interest in my work, and I wanted to quit. So my first trip to Plum Village was a healing journey for me. First of all, as a human being, and second of all, as a teacher, so that I could heal myself from within and I could renew my aspiration. So when I first encountered, I remember the calligraphy in one of the bookshops in Plum Village, I felt very touched because education has always been a passion for me, a calling from the heart. And I came into education with the aspiration to create some positive social change. But along the way, I got lost, I guess, because I didn't know how to take good care of myself. I was always reaching out and do more for my students in creating activities for outreach programs and things like that. So I didn't take good care of myself as a teacher. So I was a passionate teacher, but not necessarily a happy one. So when I saw the calligraphy, it was like, wow, how can I be a happy teacher? How can I change the world? Not just because I want to do, but maybe through action, but maybe through my being. So that was my first, I would say the first seed that Thay planted in me through his calligraphy when I first arrived in Plum Village.
Oh, I love that. And I think that experience is true for so many teachers, that many teachers give and give and give, and then they realize they have given too much for too long and haven't taken the time to take really good care of themselves. So it's you give us a lot of hope, Anh-Le, that it's possible
Yeah,
to.
I learned my lesson the hard way actually, because I was experiencing burnout and I wanted to give up. And then when I went to Palm Village for my first retreat, I learned that self-care is the basis of all care. And to really become sustainable in our career as an educator, we really have to prioritize self-care so that we can take care of our students and colleagues and the people in the community. So after my first retreat in 2012, I took the 5 mindfulness trainings, and I was given the Dharma name, Luminous Compassion of the Heart, because in my aspiration letter, I wrote that I hope to practice to transform my own suffering and to be able to understand and help transform the suffering of the people in my community. So my community here could be the community of people that I work with in Singapore, but could also be my community in Vietnam, where I came from. I was born in central Vietnam. So between 2012, 2014, I was practicing for myself mostly because Thich emphasized the embodiment of the practice. So I made the most of any opportunities to go for Sangha practice, to go for retreats, to practice on my own. Because after so many years in education, I know that I have accumulated a lot of tension, stress, and suffering in my own body and in my heart, that it takes time. So I gave myself some time to really allow the practice to sink in and to help transform myself. And in those 2 years, my practice is just to be, and I try to bring my being into the classroom. So the way I walk into the classroom, the way I listen to my students, the way I listen to my colleagues, that was kind of my form of sharing the practice implicitly with the people in my community at the time. And then in 2014, when I went back to Palm Village to attend the 21-day retreat, to listen to a panel sharing by 4 brothers in the Upper Hamlet, Brother Phap Lai, Brother Phap Dung, Brother Phap Lu, and Brother Phap Ling, on Wake Up Schools. And they share actually the premiere of Happy Teachers Change the World, the video. And I was really, really touched when I watched that video. And I remember right after that, I wrote a letter to Thich, and that, dear Thich, I found my deepest aspiration. I felt a calling in my heart to bring mindfulness into education, to help transform education. What can I do? So so I wrote that letter to Thich during the 21-day retreat, and a few days later, Sister Chen Kong met me in the Lower Hamlet, I remember, and she said, "Oh, I read your letter to Thich. Thich has given it to me, and here's what it can do." And then the first thing she said, start by building a Sangha. So that was my journey as a kind of a community builder or a Sangha builder in education, by just making an aspiration and then asking for the path. And then the teacher will show the path, and then I just follow with my whole heart. So between 2014 to about 16, I was practicing to build communities in Singapore, where I've been living and working in, and sharing the practice with students, with colleagues, and also other people in the university community, with the intention to really build community where we really can practice mindful living. To maybe, first of all, here is to de-stress, because Singapore is very stressful country. I usually joke with my students that we work for the National University of Stress because it's so stressful here. Then also to cultivate a little bit more joy and happiness where we are, because everyone here is so stressed out. So it's so difficult to see joyful smile or joyful faces like what we see when we go to a retreat. So yeah, I just kind of try to meet people where they are and cultivate happiness and well-being where we are.
So then you practiced for a few years to take good care of yourself. And then can you share a little about the catalyst that made you sense the urgency of supporting Central Vietnam?
And in 2016, I don't know if you read the news then, but then there was, I would say, heartbreaking news from Vietnam, where in Central Vietnam, there was this steel factory that caused pollution and create massive marine life destruction in 4 provinces in Central Vietnam. And my province was one of them. And I remember talking to my family members and friends and people back home. And I can sense a lot of despair, lots of anger, frustration, and loss as well. Because, yeah, I mean, we are children of the earth and we live by the sea and our life dependent on the sea. But now, seeing the massive marine life destruction, what can we do? Then, yeah, I kept asking that question as well. And then I remember during the winter retreat in 2016 and 17, I spent eight weeks practicing in Palm Village. And almost every day I touch the earth. I asked our ancestral teachers, and both my spiritual ancestors as well as my blood ancestors and also my land ancestors, what can I do? How can I realize our deepest aspiration? What can I do at path service moving forward? So yeah, after I left Cambridge after the winter retreat, then somehow a seed was planted. How about starting a school where we can plant other kinds of seeds? The seeds of love, seeds of understanding, seeds of happiness, seeds of peace. So with that, in 2017, I remember in July, we opened our first preschool in Vietnam.
It's so quick.
Name it Lotus Preschool. I mean, they say that when you have a deep aspiration and a deep aspiration from the heart, the universe will work in such a way to have it come true, right? Yeah.
So you began with a preschool, and I wonder, can you share a little bit about the guiding themes of the preschool? Because it strikes me that you were very skillful in how you introduced this very loving mindfulness practice in a way that was not threatening or did not cause difficulties, a way that it could be received and understood very simply and very clearly.
Thank you for that question and also for the encouragement, Orla. I really appreciate that. Oh, starting with preschool, it's so as you know, I had been working in higher education for over 10 years to that moment. And what I realized actually in higher education, by the time the student came to me, it would be a little bit too late for me to have any transformative education with them, because everything is pretty much set. Their ways of thinking, their ways of doing things, and perspective and values. So what I realized is, if I'd like to have any sort of any form of transformative education, I should plant the seeds at a young age, maybe as young as possible. So preschool is kind of a perfect age for that, because the first 7 years of someone's life is the most important time, right? According to early childhood experts. And I had always been working in Singapore, or at least in Hanoi, for 2 years before I moved to Singapore. So in kind of a more city, urban area. But my hometown is a little bit more like rural area. So the best part is maybe to bring the practice in a way that is easy for people to relate to. So we call our school a Lotus School, because Lotus is Vietnam national flower. Okay, everyone loves lotus, and we have so many beautiful lotus blooming in our hometown during summertime. We call our school kind of a happy home in a sense, because the children spend most of their awake time at school from Monday to Saturday, from 7 a.m. to about 4 or 5 p.m. So school is like their second home, where they spend most of their awake time away from their parents. So we like to set up our school as a second happy home for the kids, where the children feel loved, feel understood, feel joy, feel a sense of peace and deep connection. So those are kind of a guiding principle for us when we started the first one. I didn't mention anything about mindfulness or even social emotional learning or positive education or anything like that at all, because at the time, Happy School is still quite new in Vietnam, was still quite new. Mindfulness was new, especially for preschool. And yeah, maybe no one really talk about cultivating happiness and well-being in schools yet. So I was like, together with a team of teachers, in just want to test the water. What can we do so that is receptive enough for all the people in the community?
Beautiful. And can you share a little about the overarching themes for the school?
Yeah, so when we set up our school, the first one was 2017, was a preschool. The second preschool was 2018, and the third school, which is a primary school, is 2019. So within 3 years, we opened 3 schools. In our pillars, or we say the core pillars, are number 1, awakening the source of love. Mm-hmm. Number 2, nurturing the seeds of understanding. Number 3, awakening creativity. And number 4, nurturing talent. So these are our guiding principles in the way we design our school curriculum, in the way we evaluate the effectiveness of our schools, in the way that we co-create the education ecosystem for our schools. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everything starts with love. Because I was really touched by one of the lessons that I learned from Thich. The most important lesson in life is about love. Yeah, I remember I felt very touched when the first time I saw that calligraphy by Thich. And school should be the platform for children to learn about love. And the children can only learn about love when the teacher has love in their heart. So I started by organizing a lot of workshops and seminars to awaken the source of love and nurture the seeds of understanding in our teachers. Because the presence of the teacher in the classroom is the most valuable, impactful lesson plan, curriculum for the children to learn. So we invest a lot in our human resources, in the teachers, in the staff, in all the adults working in school, including the cooks, the school bus drivers, the security guards, and all the admin people as well. Because when children at a young age, when they come to school, they learn through the way that adults around them interact with each other, whether a smile on the face, a look with loving eyes, the way adults listen to the kids, to their joys and the cries as well, right? The way you give the children a hug when they just arrive, and so those are the lessons of love that the children that we impart to the children indirectly or directly every moment at school. So we start with the lesson.
Yeah, I often think it's so clear that children don't do what you say; they do what you do, and they are constantly absorbing and absorbing. And they're so wise at sensing someone's presence, whether someone's a kind person to ask a question to, whether someone is safe to be sad around, or, when you are feeling angry, are they a safe person to go to? So it's so wise to give all of the grown-ups in that space and that whole ecosystem a chance to learn how to really take care of themselves and grow those seeds of love and understanding. And then a child can arrive into a really well-nourished soil.
And we do offer workshops for parents as well.
Yeah.
So that the parents know what we are doing at school, to open the heart, awakening love in the parents, in making so that we share some common language as well. When we interact with the children, because we don't want to send conflicting messages to the children, because then they will suffer a lot if the adult around them do things that's so different from each other.
Yeah, and I think involving parents is what makes it very long-term sustainable. You have an exponential effect when the parents as well as the school environment are all, as you say, they have a common language and a common outlook, and the children can be so supported and then have such congruence through their life when they leave their home and go into school and go back home. So to have that commitment on all sides is just wonderful, wonderful. So I'm wondering, could you share a little bit about the vision and the thought you put into the physical landscape and environment of the school?
So our schools, we are very fortunate, like you said, that we can build schools from scratch, literally. So when we start our first preschool, I remember my father and I, we were walking around, and then it's like, okay, we envisioned that after 3 years or something, we would see huge trees, and then a lot of flowers and lots of hills, and the children would be sitting under the trees and having their classroom there. Really inspired by the I Love Nature song. I love nature. Nature is cool. The forest is our classroom, right? The earth is our school. Trees are teachers, and animals are our friends. And on the school, all life depends. So we really hope to create or co-create that sense of space for our children to experience when they get to school. So after 3 years, we, in a way, now I'm sharing a little bit about the model that we got to set up our school as a happy school. So the official English name for our school is called Happiness-Based Education. So with the focus, the education that center around the skills of happiness in well-being, where everyone in the school community practice mindfulness, happiness, and well-being as a school community, a happy school community. So the main practice for us, we use like stars. We have a 5-star model And the stars here are like the guiding stars. When we sometimes when we get lost, we look up the sky, we see the stars, and they, with the light of the star, will show us the way, right, through the darkness. So our 5-star model, the first star is called "Every day at school is a happy day." So it's a reminder for everyone that the most important thing for us in our daily life is to cultivate happiness. And happiness is a skill, it's a habit, it's a mind training practice, and it's something that everyone should focus on every day, not just like at the end of the semester or at the end of every school year, where we got this award or that award, something like that. Yeah, so that is our first star. It's the guiding practice. The 2 stars, the next 2 stars, are awakening the source of love in nurturing the seeds of understanding, like I said, and awakening the creativity and nurturing talent. So those to remind us, why are we here? Why are we having this school? What is special about our school, and why are we here? And remind ourselves that really the most important lesson in life is about love. And every day, whatever we do in school, whether we are teachers, we are just an administrator, we are some staff, the most important thing is to really touch our heart and awaken that source of love in us, so that we can share love with those around us, and to nurture understanding, because love and understanding are the key to happiness, right? In our next 3 stars are the circles of connection, or circles of care, inspired by Brother Having Talk in the Happy Schools project in Vietnam. I was very fortunate to be able to work with him, Brother Having Talk, on this Happy Schools project in Hue, in central Vietnam, and where as a school community, we practice the 3 circles of care. The inner circle is self-care, and the second circle is care for others, and the third circle is care for Mother Earth, for our environment, because the Earth is our home, right? So self-care and care for others are really integrated in our school activities by the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, mindful eating, with deep relaxation during nap time, and also the practice of gratitude and loving kindness and things like that. And the care for the earth is something special about school, like from the question that you asked me, that how we design our school as an education ecosystem, where the children can really experience that we are part of the earth, or the earth is us as well. So first of all, by naming the school, the classes. So we receive children as young as 18 months, all the way to primary school age. So the very young ones, below 2 years old, we name all the classes after flowers. So we got roses, we got daffodils and sunflowers. And then the 3-year-olds are named after birds. And then the 4-year-olds are named after some trees that are very common in central Vietnam. And the 5-year-olds are named after rainbow, ocean, Milky Way, something like that. And all the primary school classes are named after stars. So with that message, we like to remind the children that each one of us is part of the cosmos, a part of the earth, and the earth are in us as well. So that is like, who are you? Oh, we are roses. Oh, we are sunflowers. We are the oceans. So like how they introduce each other, just a common reminder. Okay? Another special thing about our school is that in every of our school, we have a garden of love. because like I said, awakening the source of love is a key thing for our school. Right? So that's why every school we have a garden of love. And guess what? In the garden of love, we have the path of happiness, the path of peace, where the children can practice mindful walking barefoot. We designed with some pepper, with some grass, so that they can feel their feet touch the earth. We have a stream of stillness because there's some water running, and they can really see the fish swimming in. Remind that breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect things as like in the song, right? Our favorite song, breathing in and breathing out. Then we have some hills, and it's called hills of gratitude and hills of understanding. And there are many trees there, including a Bodhi tree. And then we have a lotus pond for the children to really come and enjoy. And breathing in, I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel fresh and I smile. So that's how we kind of design our school, the physical space as well, to remind the children of all the values that we like to cultivate in them. So it would be wonderful, like if the children go home to the parents and ask, "What did you do today?" "Oh, Mom, I was walking on the path of happiness, and I stood by this stream of stillness, and then I felt very happy in the garden of love." How wonderful it is, the kind of story that the children would share with the parents at home, right, when they came back. So that's the number three circles of care and connection. Our the other four stars are the four pillars of learning, according to UNESCO. Number one is learning to know. Number two, learning to do. Number three, learning to live together. And number four, learning to be. I feel that our education focuses too much on learning to know and learning to do, and overlooking learning to live together and learning to be. So in all our three schools, we focus a lot on learning to live together by collaborative work, circle sharing, in not just within their own class, but with other classes who would be older or younger than them, and to know that they are part of the school community. And learning to be is where mindfulness is a core part of our school curriculum, where we have a breathing room. It's called Lotus Breathing Room. I used to go back to Vietnam every month, and I taught children from 4 years old all the way to primary schools. They had class with me at least once a month. And in other time of the month, then their teachers teach them how to breathe, how to smile, how to practice deep relaxation, how to listen to each other, and sharing from the heart. And our last 5 stars is what we call the key to success. So the number one key is well-rounded character, in which number one quality is loving, and number 2 is gracious, to be grateful. And then second key is knowledge. Number 3 is capability, and we are inspired by the 21st century core competencies in terms of critical thinking, communication skills, creativity, and also collaboration. And number 4 in our key is called health, wellness. But wellness here, not just physical wellness, but also emotional well-being as well, and resilience. And that's why mindfulness plays a big role in that. So to cultivate wellness, well-being in our own students. And number 5 key is called international integration, because we'd like to educate our children to see themselves as children of the earth or a global citizen. So it's not like limited by nationality, but their ability to appreciate other cultures and live in harmony with people from other parts of the world as well. So sorry, it's kind of a long answer to your question, but I hope it makes sense.
I feel you've offered us such a rich feast of things to contemplate with that. And so in school, you listen to the bell, you practice mindful walking between classes, and you also have a bell to bring everyone back to this moment. Could you share a little about how the children practice with the bell?
So I actually, before I share that right now, how are they practicing right now? I'd like to share that when we started, I was not very sure how open the parents and other people in this communities are towards mindfulness, because in a way, my part of Vietnam, we are very conservative, very traditional. So in the first year with our first school, we never use a bell. We never use mindfulness, the word. We didn't use any technical term at all. But we did spend a lot of time in nature and using flowers at a stop sign. So in the first year, for example, whenever the children walk around our schoolyard, our garden, wherever they saw any flower, they would stop, take 3 deep breaths, and smile. So flowers are the bell of mindfulness. Another bell of mindfulness are birds. We are very lucky because we are kind of in the countryside, so we have a lot of birds. So the teachers taught the kids that whenever walk outside and they heard some birds singing, they would stop and then maybe take deep breath in, then breathe out and smile and thank the bird for giving them some songs, some music for the day. So in our first year, we didn't use a bell at all because we were not very sure how receptive, how open other people in the community are. Then only from 2018, after the experience of many public schools in Hue practicing mindfulness, then I said, maybe we are also in central Vietnam. We could also bring the bell into the classroom. Then what we did is we had the mindful clock chimes, and it's every hour. The whole school will hear the clock chimes, and everyone stop. So we set it up from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. every day. So every hour, and everyone in the school stop. So we have a song that comes with it. Like it goes something like this: our school has a mindful clock, and every 15 minutes that is in the classroom, but every 60 minutes in the school, it has a sound. And the sound is to ask us, what am I doing? And then there's the sound to remind us to breathe and smile and to be happy. So children, when they first came to our school, they kind of sing this song in Vietnamese. And to get to know that it's a school culture. And then slowly, parents who drop the school or pick up the school also practice with us, or any visitor to our school, and even our neighbors, like people who are living around the school, practices as well. So we call it the messenger of peace. So whenever you hear the messenger of peace, you just stand up and then stand still. Put the 2 hands on the abdomen, close the eyes, breathing in and breathing out, and smile. And at the end of the sound, and they will do like this and say happy. So we call it the habit of happiness. And the children, they also practice moving wherever they move around the classroom, or from one classroom to another, or from one school to another. They practice mindful walking. So to this extent of walking slowly, hearing the footsteps, and then count how many steps they take, and then they walk and without talking or saying anything. So there is this very funny in the sense that brings me a lot of joy and happiness. When I heard this one story from one of my colleagues, so she had this 2-year-old niece who just joined our school, preschool, for just 2 weeks. So one morning, they came to school early. So my colleague was like taking this kid, 2-year-old, around our garden of love. And then she was very excited because she saw some like lotus flower blooming and then some birds in here and there. And then they were walking and then would say, "Oh, look, there's a lotus flower. Look, there's a bird." And this child was like this. And then, yeah, she kept walking and she didn't respond. And then, and then after some time, the teacher was like, oh my God, I forgot. And then she remember because, yeah, wherever the teachers taught the children that if they walk on the path of happiness or the path of peace, then they don't talk. They just walk and just feel their footsteps. Yeah. So that's one example like that is how we really integrated mindful living in our school. Yeah. Children are very powerful. They just they learn the lesson and they learn it wholeheartedly and they will impart to all the adults. Sometimes adults are quite forgetful, but children are not. Yeah.
And in systemizing this from it being an experiment at the beginning to now becoming more scalable. So you've introduced methods of measuring and evaluating the program to kind of sense, that, as you say, it's not simply to do with a grade at the end of the year, but, someone reflects on, well, is this a loving person? So can you share a little bit about how you measure and evaluate?
Yeah, so like I said, we use the 5-star model as the framework. As a way we organize our schools, from designing the curriculum to evaluating the effectiveness of our schools at the end of every semester or every academic year. So the 5 stars are in terms of well-rounded personality, in being loving, being grateful, being understanding. Are those qualities, right? We see in as a well-rounded personality. In terms of knowledge, the children not only learn like English or Vietnamese, but they also learn social emotional learning, and also like things like that ability to connect with nature. That is in terms of knowledge, understanding the 4 seasons, and then how seeing the interrelationship or interdependence of our life with the world around us. Yeah. And in terms of capability, that ability not just like doing well in a test, but the ability to collaborate with other people, and being creative. Because we talk about the 21st century core competencies, the 4 C's, right? In terms of critical thinking, I guess in the West, focus too much on critical thinking, and communication skills, creativity and collaboration. I feel that creativity and collaboration are often overlooked in education. So in our schools, we really allow the children to play a lot. Play in nature as well, and also through the practice of mindfulness to help them touch stillness from inside, so that they can really awaken the source of creativity in them through different kind of projects work. In terms of wellness, we also measure. It's like at the end of the school year or semester, for example, the preschool, not only how many kg have they gained or the height, but also, in terms of their wellness, in terms of emotional well-being, how the ability to recognize their emotion in taking care of their strong emotions, like something like anger, for example, or sadness. When like the kids, they have tantrums, right? But how that ability to breathe and come back. This one, like talking about this, I just remember one example. Last year during lockdown, because of COVID-19, I organized some workshops for the school parents online. And then that was lesson is about calm in the storm, how to take care of strong emotions. And a few mothers share with me that the children, because staying at home and parent could get very stressed out and then get maybe lost temper easily, right? So there was one child who was the primary one. He said to his mother, "Mother, I think that you are getting impatient and you're getting irritated. Why don't you just stop and then just put your hands on the belly and then take 3 breaths to calm yourself down?" Yeah, something like that. And then a mother of like a toddler, about 3-year-old, and then they were playing something, and the mother was getting a little bit anxious or something. And then suddenly she heard some sort of sounds that are kind of similar to our clock chimes in the school. And then she put her hands like this, and then put another hand on the abdomen and close your eye. And she just said like simple words in Vietnamese: breathe, smile, relax. Something like that. So I mean, in terms of wellness, that is how we measure as well. Like that wellness is how in the ability to for the kids to understand wellness appropriate to their age, and then how to apply in their daily life. Yeah. And the fifth one is in terms of international integration. When we also send the children to participate in different contests, and to show that we are learning. Not just like, okay, not just go to school and play only, because sometimes they say, oh, happy school, the kids just play and don't learn anything. But we also show that we focus on quality education as well, not just play. Yeah. So, and we evaluate the lesson plans of a teacher based on the 4 pillars of learning. In learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, and learning to be. So for each of the subjects, learning to know what are the core things in terms of subject matters that the kid need to master. And learning to do is in terms of skills, right? What are the key skills that we need to focus at this age? And then learning to live together is where all the group work and living in harmony with each other in a school community. And learning to be is how we integrate on our mindfulness activities into a day at school. From the moment the kids arrive at our school at 7 a.m. All the way to 5 p.m. when they leave school.
Amazing. It's so joyful. It really is. So being 3 or 4 years into this and watching these schools grow, and I'm thinking back to that moment of the ecological disaster. I was in Plum Village when it happened, and I remember Sister Chan Kong coming in and sharing the news and weeping for what it meant for the land, for the people. For so many years to come. So you have grown such beautiful seeds from such a stark moment of suffering. So how does it feel now to watch these seeds kind of strengthening? Because now more and more schools are interested in happiness-based education. It's, the government is interested in it, and it feels like there is kind of a good momentum growing at the moment.
I must say that when I look back at this journey, even though it's very short, just less than 5 years, it's been, I would say, the most life transforming years of my life, because I really experienced no mud, no lotus firsthand, literally and also spiritually. And when we started, like really in those dark moments in our, not just, country as a Vietnam in general, but in our province, in a way, we have been experiencing some kind of crisis in education as well, because in a way we lost sense of direction. and what are the key things that we should focus on. We just learn from one model after another, maybe the US, UK, and then Japan and Finland and Singapore and say. But with our model of education, I felt that what we've done so far is to really learn from our ancestral teachers. What are the value, the core values that we need to cultivate in our school community. And community is the site of strength for Vietnam, like over thousands of years, history, to wars and natural disasters and things like that. So cultivating community, it's key, and it's a source of strength for us. And even though we started small, just one school, and then 2 schools and 3 schools, and we are like private schools. But after 3 years, because we planted the seeds wholeheartedly, especially seeds of love and understanding, with the intention to cultivate happiness and well-being for our community, then slowly we got rippling effects on other people in the larger community as well. So now we become the place or the training ground for happy schools in our province, where school administrators, teachers, and children from public schools come and visit us and experience how is it to be in a happy school. And that, for me, that is the best thing, the best outcome that we got in this journey, because not everyone can afford to send the kids to a private school. I mean, our school fee is kind of quite low, but still the parent need to have something to be able to afford to send the kid to our school. But when we can really inspire teachers in public schools and give children from public schools from very, very poor area in Vietnam, that is very, very encouraging sign. So yeah, I remember I always feel very moved in my heart, and I always want to cry whenever I watch a video of about 250 children from a very poor public preschool in our province came and visit our school for a day. Not really a day, just one morning. And then when they arrived, they were given a tour of a school by our primary school students. And they were walking together on a path of happiness and path of peace, and then standing around the lotus pond and singing, breathing in and breathing out. And then after that, the school clock chimes at 8 a.m. And they learned that at our school, that is our school culture, that whenever you hear the clock chimes, you stop. And then that moment when I watched like 250 children who just arrived at our school and just put their hands on the abdomen and take deep breath and with a very calm and peaceful face. And they smile at the end. It's like happy, and just follow the gesture with our school kids as well. And I really felt so touched. And I feel that even though just a brief moment, but then when they can really experience, and the teacher and then the children and some parents came as well, can experience is that one moment, but it meant to touch peace deeply. I really hope that it will have some lasting impact on their life as well. So yeah, that's kind of, I would see many more lotus blooming beyond our garden. And that is the best part of this project, because we really want to inspire. One of the favorite quotes for me in education is "the great teacher inspires." Really, yeah. Because we only have like limited time. We only have 24 hours. We have limited energy. But if we could inspire other people to do good things, to share kindness, to share love, to spread happiness, so it has rippling effects on our school community in the ecosystem at large as well. So that is the best part for me, the most rewarding part of this project.
Wonderful.
And I see that for me, my gratitude, my flowers of practice, my deep gratitude to my ancestral teachers, my land ancestors in Vietnam, my blood ancestors and also my spiritual teachers, especially to Thich, because he had a vision of happy schools for so many decades. And then finally, I can really have the opportunity to do something, or maybe not to do something, to be something in part of that happy school. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your generosity and for your practice and for taking this time for sharing today. You have made a very good use of your suffering. It seems to me, as Ty says, to suffer is not enough. That we need to make really good use of it. And I feel you have made such beautiful use of your suffering. It's become a gift that ripples outwards and outwards. Yeah. So a deep bow to you, dear sister.
Thank you.